All right. Well, hello and welcome to Girls Gaze Animes. I'm your host Valsaraptor and I'm here with my co-host T. And today we are talking about spooky stuff. We're here to talk about creepy horror, anything Halloween vibey related to anime, manga. I didn't prepare any manhwas.
I didn't either.
Anime and manga. We'll call it anime and manga only. Though
Yeah.
I did only prepare animes to talk
Mine are
about.
animes, and I've read two of them as manga.
Okay, so animes
I
and
haven't
manga,
finished
right?
them, but I read them.
Okay. All right, I have prepared four to discuss.
I have as well.
All right, you want to go first?
Sure. So my first one, if you've been on our TikTok, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, check us out.
There's
is
that
Hellsing.
subscribe button. I'm just kidding.
Hit that subscribe! No, so yeah, my first one is Hellsing and also the OVA Hellsing Ultimate. It is an action and kind of like gothic vampire anime. So it is the Hellsing organization, which is run by a singular family member currently. But it goes all the way back to, if you know, like the Hellsing like lore, she is related to the original Hellsing.
Who is she? Which Helsing lord?
She
Who
is
she?
the oh my gosh, why can I not think of her name? You know, I took notes and I didn't write her name down.
Is this the Saris Victoria character?
No, not Paris. Integra Helsing. So Integra Helsing is the surviving member of the Helsing clan, and she runs the Helsing organization. Her great ancestor was like the original Helsing and was like a monster hunter, vampire hunter kind of person. And he caught like the most powerful vampire, which is now the Helsing family's like secret weapon, Alucard. And if you look at his name and you read it backwards, you can figure out his actual identity. I'm not gonna like spoil it, but I remember when I read it in high school and I figured that out, I was like, oh my gosh.
I can't process this fast enough to spoil it, so I'm just going to handle that later when I have the brain processing capacity.
For the first episode just covers basically what I talked about in my review. There's a small town in England called Cheddar, and the Helsing organization is deployed there because there's been reports of ghouls and a vampire. Regular police force was sent in, and the girl you mentioned previously, Saris Victoria, she was a part of that unit. Her whole unit, except for her, is wiped out, and she is about to die when Alucard finally gets sent in, and he saves her and like clears out the ghouls and the vampire that was causing all the problems. But the only problem is Saris is dying. And in order to save her, Alucard, our king, asks for consent first. And he's like, hey, I can help you, but I'm going to have to turn you. And that's the only way you're going to live. I need you to agree to this. Is that okay?
Consent,
And he
yes.
even asks, he's like, hey, are you a virgin? And she's dying. And she's like, what do you mean, my guy? And he's like, no, this is legitimate. Like, if you're a virgin, I can turn you. If you're not a virgin, you're going to turn into a ghoul. That's why I'm asking. And so
Wait,
she's
is that like real vampire lore?
I don't know if that's everyone.
Is that like, okay, so I'll have to look up after this, but I don't know, I guess, OG vampire lore.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like, why would they write that in as like it seems like an unnecessary, like,
Yeah.
nudge towards whatever.
I feel like don't quote me, it might be, but I could also be very wrong. But Alucard ends up saving Saris, and she becomes like a fledgling vampire that he basically is like training to be a good vampire on the side of like the Hellsing organization. There's two different animes. There's the original, which is 13 episodes, and then there's Hellsing Ultimate, which is the OVA, and that is 10 episodes, and they are both on Crunchyroll. And then if you want to read the manga is 10 volumes. It's from Dark Horse Comics, and you can find it on Amazon.
Are they still producing? Well, yeah, I guess because they do the fancy big bound leathery ones, so they are still like printing new versions. Because you had a vintage copy that you shared with everyone.
Yeah, I had an old original, like copyright 2003 on it. I checked when I was looking through because I was like, oh, when did this come out? Oh, in America, it came out in 2003, but in Japan, it came out the series started in 1997.
Wow.
Yeah, it's an old boy.
So, be honest with me, T. Was this your sexual awakening, like seeing Hellsing Ultimate on accident at a con in an area that we will not disclose?
So yeah, at this con I was at, I was 15, and my friends and I, we had watched the Full Metal Alchemist Conqueror of Shambhala premiere. It was like the first Full Metal Alchemist movie that came out, and con that shall not be named because I don't want to get them in trouble, did not do a room clear.
Really?
They were
Because
just like,
I edited your TikTok and you tried to out them.
I know, I wasn't thinking. I wasn't thinking.
I was like, she doesn't want this in here.
Yeah, please take that out. So con that shall not be mentioned did not do a room clear. And
Yikes.
I had seen the original Hellsing and I was like, yeah, I'm so excited to see Ultimate. I love, like, it's, from what I knew, it was going to stick closer to the manga, and the manga was like, you know, scary and violent, and I was like, 15, 16-year-old kid being like, hell yeah, that's rad! Well, one of my friends leaves to walk their girlfriend to her hotel, and they text us and they're like, hey, I can't get back in. This is 18 plus. So you guys just lay low.
And you were like, sucks to suck. We'll see you later.
Basically. And we were like, sorry, not sorry. We love you. We're all going to stay in here. And we all did and had a grand time. It was like the first, I think, 3 episodes. From what I remember, it was eons ago.
Yeah, I remember, so much to your own dismay, but I took some footage of our, like, hot or not pics, and I took them to a con with me, and people were, like, pulling them out, and they're like, I don't know who this is, or he was automatically, like, losing the bracket challenge that people were doing, and I was like, sorry, T. He's your hear me out.
He's my hear me out in a way that he shouldn't be a hear me out. Like, he's a hear me out because nobody knows who I'm talking about.
Honestly, because I've seen some hear me outs that, like, are probably hear me outs for normies, and I'm like,
yeah,
that's barely a hear me out. And then yours is like, here we go, and everyone's like, no, thank you. But then again, he's going up against, like, Gojo for hots and stuff like that, and he's simply never going to surpass in this world.
No, and also, like I said, it's an old show.
It's true, yeah.
Nobody knows who I'm talking about. And, like, the animation's older and stuff like that.
The older animation style, it's hard to look past sometimes, especially with, like, new anime watchers. I've been getting a lot of feedback on some of the older stuff that I've been posting about, because I haven't watched or read anything new for this. This is all, I've been posting about stuff that I've already, like, watched, read, and enjoyed. For all of our listeners, please find our TikTok. I've been posting every single day different spooky, horror, psychological things that you can enjoy, manga, anime, etc. So this 4 that I've picked and the 4 that TF picked is a very limited run of what we've been sharing all month long here in October. But the most recent one that I posted about was Soul Eater. I'm wearing my Death the Kid shirt.
Yay!
T, have you watched Soul Eater?
I have watched, I want to, again, this was eons ago. I want to say, like, first 10 to 20
It's not
episodes.
a pop quiz. It's just generally like, yeah, I've seen some of it, or like, no.
Yeah, I've seen some of it, but it's been a while. I remember the concept, and
I
liked
you
it.
know who Death the Kid is. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what matters. So basically, everyone, especially on YouTube, it's been popping off. So if you are following us on YouTube as well, the shorts are also there. It's been popping off because people are like, oh man, like, this is such a good anime. It doesn't have that old anime style. It's not super old to begin with, I guess. But, like, if this had come out like now, I think it would pop off. I think it would do well. Like, I think it's up there with, have you seen Don Don Don? That's like a really hot one right now that's like just now coming out. I think it would, like, be pretty close to that, like, if it were new and we're getting, like, the same hype, especially since the OP hits so hard.
And OP can make or break an anime.
Oh my god, I was having this conversation the other day with my husband. So, I know we've talked about it before, but Mashal, for example. I read the Mashal manga, and I was like, sorry for folks who are here for spooky stuff, Mashal's not a spooky thing. Unless you consider, like, wizards to be spooky.
I was gonna say, it's, like, spooky adjacent. It's Halloween adjacent.
Yeah, like, the same way, like, Harry Potter is Halloween adjacent, perhaps. So, I read the full Mashal manga. I did it in, like, a minute. Like, I was waiting in lines at Disney, and I read through all 100+ chapters, like, in the weekend. Because it was so good. I couldn't put it down. It was hilarious. And then the anime came out, and I was like, whatever, just, like, I had it on the background. But it was, like, kind of boring. But then Creepy Nuts did their intro, their OP, and now everyone's into Mashal. And I think Mashal would have flopped if it weren't for Creepy Nuts. And the bing bong bong bing bong, like the intro that they did, it would have flopped if it weren't for Creepy Nuts.
I was going to say, I've never seen Mashal, haven't watched any of it, just because I want to read it, because based off your recommendation, I almost said your rejection, based off your...
I did reject the anime.
Yeah, I wasn't going to watch it, but I'm interested in reading it. But I know that song, because it's everywhere. It's such a bop.
Creepy Nuts doesn't miss.
No.
They really don't.
I've been, like, walking around the house randomly for a week just going, dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, no, it's in our house, too. We'll just be, like, in the car, and then my husband will be, like singing. I'm like, just put it on.
Right.
So... yeah, and they've done other stuff too that I can't think of off of the top of my head right now.
I know.
So the other day I was like, that's it. And I'm like, when is Creepy Nuts going to be touring? And it's like, I can only see them if they're in Japan, which, like, tempting, but not financially right now. No. So, yeah, so back to Soul Eater, I guess. Amazing OP, amazing content. My only issue with Soul Eater, I could try to explain Soul Eater right now. It will sound more convoluted than it actually is. It's basically a bunch of kids where half of them turn into weapons and the other half wield those weapons. But most of the time they're walking around just like normal people. Then there's like some other stuff going on, like some creepy, spooky stuff going on around them. It's not like My Hero where they're like learning to use their powers and then there's like a fight scene. It's like really deep bedded in and the teachers are in it. And then like, you know, one of the kids, their parent rules over the city that they live in and but it gets dark, right? Like all of the like side spooky stuff that's going on, it gets dark. It's so good. My problem is the last episode. It's so good up until the last episode. I've been telling everyone, if you watch this, don't watch the last episode. I know I've said that, and Doki, who couldn't be with us today, she hasn't seen it and has been putting it off and probably wasn't going to do it because maybe in passing I was like, oh yeah, the last episode sucks, and she's like, well, if the last episode sucks, why do I watch it? I'm like, but no, it's so good. Yeah. Just don't. It's like for people who watch people shows and like Dexter, where it's like, just stop. Just like stop watching and enjoy. There's another creepy one for you guys. Dexter. It's not an anime. It's not a manga.
Have I told you my Dexter rant?
Is he your other Hear Me Out or no?
No. Well, I mean, sometimes I get those thirst trap edits on TikTok and I'm like, I forgot about you. But I watched all of Dexter obsessively. Like, it hooked me and I like, flew through it.
Club.
And then I was staying home sick from work. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to finish Dexter.
No.
And I finished Dexter. I called my husband while he was at work. He was at work. And in a feverish haze, he's like, hey, I'm like on my way to a meeting. And I was like, so you got 20 minutes? And I just ranted to him for like 15, 20 minutes straight about the last episode while pacing around our apartment with a fever. And then I was like, okay, I'm done. I love you. Bye. And I hung up and I went to sleep.
Yeah, no, it was brutal. So that's pretty much Soul Eater. Like, I was watching the whole thing, vibing, loving it. I got to the last episode, and I was basically like, you fucking kidding me? And I threw a tantrum. Right. I've been collecting the fancy manga editions of Soul Eater, and I haven't read them. It's on my TBR, my extensive TBR that I'm like...
The ever-growing
TBR, right. But it is on my list. I do actually want to go back and read it because we all deserve a good ending to Soul Eater. Mm-hmm. But what we picked up recently that I'll add that is, from what I understand, not good for spooky season, but if you like Soul Eater and you didn't know about this, there's Soul Eater Not.
Oh, okay. I've heard of that, but I didn't look into it.
Emphasis on the not, because it's like a shonen.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just like three little girly pops, like in the same world, but like not Soul Eater. So, hence the Soul Eater not.
I thought it was going to be like, I know there's a version of Evangelion where they are, like, it's an alt world version, and they're just regular kids in high school. It's like a slice of life. And I thought that's what Soul Eater Not was going to be.
It's like giving that. From what I haven't read it, I have the book downstairs, but I was like reading up on it, and I was like looking at the covers, and the covers are precious, by the way. It's like almost like Powerpuff Girls, where there's like the brunette, the redhead, the blonde, and they all have like their own vibe. But I was like super cutie. I'm gonna read it once I get through posting all of these spooky recs for the month of October. But yeah, go watch Soul Eater. This is my Death the Kid shirt, if you haven't seen. If you're looking for a cosplay and you've got groups or pairs, look no further to Soul Eater. There's so many good ones. There's good solo cosplays. If you want something a little sexy, you can dress as Blair. She turns into a cat. She's a sexy witch. Death the Kid, he's very autistic coded. We love him for it.
I was gonna say back in the day, I remember seeing a lot of cosplays, like when this was coming out and it was popular, and they were so easy to identify. Like it has a very distinct style to it, where you're like, "Yep, that's Soul Eater."
Oh, and then also flex for everyone who hasn't seen. This is my Soul Eater son. This is actually a couple's tattoo. My husband has the moon.
Aww.
Someone teased me on YouTube. They were like, they put a bunch of heart emojis because that's how I post on YouTube, and they're like, "Oh, go watch this super cutie anime rec," and then they were like, the moon literally bleeding from his eyes. And I was like, cutie. He is cute though. I think he's cute.
That's like the other day I had people over our house, and I was like, if you squint hard enough to the point that your eyes are closed, my house is clean. So if you squint hard enough to the point that your eyes are closed, he's super cutie.
I think I just have a different definition of cutie, and that's okay. I'm okay with that.
And that's why we love you. Love who you love and what you love here at Girls, Gays, and Animes.
Yeah, it's not... Oh, the Soul Eater Moon? He's my hear me out.
See, that's a hear me out.
That's a hear me out.
I'm tired of people being like, hear me out. And it's like Freddy Fazbear. Like,
it's like
I'm
Danny
not attracted
Phantom.
to Freddy Fazbear, but like, I can see why somebody would be. It's like, you gotta throw me something where I'm like, are you sure?
No, when they're coming out with like Danny Phantom and like Nala from The Lion King, and I'm like, no one's fighting you on this. Like, no one's disagreeing. There's nothing. You don't have to like even say anything. So there's nothing to hear me out about. Like, it's just that's what it is.
Like the Robin Hood fox.
Yeah, no, no. Doki and I have had this exact same conversation already. Like, I have images of the fox saved in my phone because we've had this conversation. So it's not a hear me out. It's the majority of people. I'm not even gonna say girls, people.
Yeah.
My guys out there, they get it.
People who were like, yeah, that fox?
Yeah. No, what's the other one I've been seeing that's been pissing me off? Judy Hopps? No.
Yeah! Oh my gosh, anybody from Zootopia, like...
Anybody. The chunky little line that works at the desk of the police office?
He's so cute! We love a thick king.
We have tangented quite a bit. So yeah, that's Soul Eater, everybody.
Yeah, to bring it back, one of our mutual friends in our Discord server was like, this is my hear me out, guys. And she put in a picture of Beetlejuice, and we were like, okay.
No, I'm like, Beetlejuice could get it.
Like, especially the animated one. I don't know why, but I'm very into the animated one. Yeah.
So, have you seen Beetlejuice? Another tangent,
No, not yet. Not yet.
So, here's my Beetlejuice tattoo. I'm glad that we keep talking about things that I'm, like, very into. Honestly, Beetlejuice from Beetlejuice is less of a hear me out. Because he's, like, yeah, it works for me. So, thinking back, I remember watching Beetlejuice the first time being like, why is Lydia so mad about this? She could do worse. But then I'm like, nah, she's a teen. She shouldn't do it. See,
I watched it for the first time when I was like 4. And I was like, of course she doesn't want to get with the demon. Why would she want to be with the demon? And then I watched the cartoon and I was like, oh, he's nicer in this one. I like him in this one. And then I got older and I was like, you know, both of them. Why not? I'll hear them all out.
Twist my arm.
Oh, no. And the one from the musical, he's good, too. I haven't seen the whole musical, but I'll hear him out.
We saw it live. So it wasn't the original cast, but it was still good.
Yeah.
It was still good. Yeah. All right.
Anyway, let me steer us. All right, anyway, I'm steering us back. So my next pick is, I'm going to say this wrong. I don't want to because her actual name is much easier for me to say. Myruko-chan. I forget how to say it, but her real name is Miko.
Okay.
So this came out in 2021, so it's more new. It's this high school student named Miko. Oh, and this is also a horror comedy. And
Horror comedy. Is this a manga or an anime?
It is both. I've only seen the anime, but it's
okay.
both.
And you said it's Mirako? Is that the name?
Mieruko.
Mirako? Okay, yeah.
I'm going with Mirako-chan.
Right, so Mirako. Yeah.
And so she can see ghosts and things, but she doesn't want to see them because, like, homegirl's just trying to go to, get ready for the day. She's taking a shower and she comes down, there's handprints all over the mirror. Or she's like, she's like waiting to go to the bus stop and there's like a rotting corpse at the bus stop next to her.
Is she just like, I think I've heard of it. Is she just like generally annoyed by it? Like, it's not
she's
that
like annoyed and she's pretending she's like terrified, obviously, because like at first she thinks she's going crazy because she sees all this horrible stuff and she's trying to prevent it. Like in the first episode, she's like putting salt around her room because like the ghost she saw in the bathroom, like leaving handprints on her wall. Well, then she wakes up and there's a head in her lap. And she's like, well, guess that didn't work. And she's just trying to pretend that none of it's happening because she doesn't know what to do. And these ghosts are like picking up on the fact that she might be able to see them. And they're getting in her face and being like, you can see me, you can see me. And she's just staring dead ahead like, And
I don't see shit.
Yeah, I don't see shit. She sees nothing, she hears nothing. She's just pretending it's not happening. But it also has some like really touching moments. There's like, I don't want to say too much, but there's like a huge, if I said it, it would be like a huge spoiler. But there's one ghost who like, you don't initially realize is a ghost at first.
Ooh.
And it's like a nice ghost. So you don't realize because they're not like screaming at her. They're not like rotting. They're not being mean to her and chastising her and things. So at first you don't realize it, and then there's like a reveal a couple episodes in, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, that's really sad and kind of sweet when you find out who the ghost is."
Speaking of friendly ghosts, I did see a TikTok recently that someone tried to put Casper as their Hear Me Out.
What do you mean? The one from the movie is so fine.
Okay, yes, that's what I mean. I'm like, what do you...
I mean, he's a child. I'm not saying currently he is so fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I was a child, I was like, the gasp.
Yeah, like, okay.
Also, Christina Ricci. I love Christina Ricci and like an
I was like, wait, are
way.
Sabrina and Casper going to be together? They'd be so cute together.
Right?
Sorry, I derailed you. But yeah, so
you're fine.
the ghost reveal, you thought he was alive, but he's not, sort of thing.
Yeah, and it ends up being like a really sweet kind of sad thing. And she tries to use her power for kind of good in a way. Like there's certain scenarios where there's a ghost that's bothering a friend of hers, and she's trying to like figure out how to get the ghost away without revealing that she A, sees the ghost to the ghost, and B, let her friend know that there's like a ghost bothering her. So there's like little things like that, and it's got funny moments, it's got like the touching moments, but it still has like the like I said, there was a ghost at the bus stop that I remember was just kind of like rotting and being like very creepy. So it does have its creepy moments too. It is on Crunchyroll and it has 12 episodes, and I have not read the manga. It is currently ongoing and there's 10 volumes.
And that's Mirako.
That's how we're going with Mieruko Chan, and her actual name is Miko. Miko.
Mirako Chan. Okay, cool. I'll have to that one. It sounds like scary, but like it sounds spooky, but like not in a scary way.
Yeah, it's like a quick one too. It's only 12 episodes. Easily digested.
I'm gonna hop to another one that I posted about recently, which is Dark Gathering.
Is that the one you posted most recently? No, that was Ghost Stories.
Lots of ghost stuff. I am going to talk about ghost stories again because...
Please do!
I am. But Dark Gathering first. I'm saving ghost stories for last. So Dark Gathering, Doki actually recommended it to me because I was like, hey, I'm running out of spooky shit to talk about. And she's like, oh, have you watched Dark Gathering? You would like it. And I was like, send me the name because I'm going to forget. But yeah. So I'm only a couple episodes in, but I'm like very intrigued by it. It's so Dark Gathering, it's got like a college student who he's like cursed or something, and then he's working with a, I don't know, like a middle school girl, and she's basically trying to like avenge her mom's death. Her mom's soul was stolen by something. This is all first episode stuff, so I don't feel like I'm spoiling anything.
Yeah.
So he's cursed, but the way that he's cursed are like these spirits are so like he's like a magnet for these like cursed souls, right? And so she meets him and she catches the vibe and she's like, we're best friends. He's supposed to be tutoring her and that's how they meet. And then also the little girl lives with her cousin and he's like, I don't know, dating her cousin, sort of. Her cousin and this other guy are like childhood friends. But okay, so Dark Gathering, the premise, the part that gets it kind of like spooky is that like the way that she plans on fighting the spirit that took her mom's soul, she's got this like gimmick where she's like, okay, I'm gonna capture all of these like heinous spirits. I'm gonna capture every spirit baddie I can find. She's storing them in like plushies. And then she's like basically throwing them into a Thunderdome and like having them rip each other apart. And then whichever spirits are left, she's like, okay, well, if the spirit survives, it's the stronger spirit. And she's trying to find the strongest spirit to then use that spirit to fight. But I mean, like, you watch like the shadow of a person as their spirit get ripped limb from limb by these like, and it's all like shadow, like it looks like shadows, but it's like the silhouette of a person literally having their leg ripped off. And a lot of there's blood and gore, like from that aspect where, you know, someone got hanged in a phone. I don't think they got hanged. They got murdered in a phone booth. And, like, so you can't see them, but you can see like blood everywhere. And, I think this dude's grandparents are hiding from something from him too, because he keeps like his curse in his hands and they like trim the curse off of his hands, but then she's like, oh, I can bind the curses with the hair, I don't know what else to call it, from your hand. So like she knows that something's up with the grandparents. But it's gory, but it's also funny. I don't want to I thought it was going to be campy at first, and it's not. It's definitely, it kind of gives me what's that one older anime? It's not super old, with the kids and the Promised Neverland. It kind of gives me Promised Neverlands where you like start it and you're like, oh, this is kind of cute, but there's something weird going on, and then it ends up like getting like really fucking dark. This is kind of what that's doing, and
I like that.
So there's like some like trigger warnings, like I said, about like how people die when, you know, before they find the spirits. It kind of tell you like how the spirit came to be there. But yeah, they're like fighting all these yokais, and it's gory, and it's like horror, but there's some like psychological stuff too. So yeah, check out Dark Gathering. I don't know how this one like went under my radar. Like it's really good. And then I'm telling my husband about it. He goes, "Oh yeah, I love that anime," and I'm like, "What the fuck, dude?"
What is that streaming on?
I want to say
Is
High
that on
Dive.
Crunchy? Oh, it's on High
I want
Dive.
to say High Dive. That's probably how I missed it.
Probably, because I don't check High Dive as frequently, and I should.
I never check High Dive.
But
Oshinoko's on High Dive, I believe.
Yeah, it is.
And so is Call of the Night, which is like another like pseudo spooky one because vampires. So Call of the Night, really good.
They do have some good ones.
They do. I just forget that it exists, and then I'll go to look for something on Crunchy, and I can't find it. And I'm like, oh crap, is it on High Dive? And then the High Dive platform isn't as good. It doesn't on my TVs. It doesn't have like autoplay next episode.
Oh.
And so I get mad because I have to keep my remote on my person.
Yeah, I don't. It's been a minute since I've watched something on High Dive. I have to see if it's like that for me too. My husband the other day, he went to log in to watch something, and he was like, "Oh, we can have individual profiles now, like you can on Crunchyroll." So he went to set that up, and I was like, "It's been so long. I literally don't remember like what specifically we were watching with High Dive." Oh, but I brought that up because I know Crunchyroll has the like spooky season category,
Yeah.
and I was looking through that the other day. I wasn't sure if High Dive had that or not. I went to look and we were logged out, and I was too lazy to go ask for the password.
Those Crunchyroll suggestion areas can be like sometimes
Bad?
I'll read they're bad. Well, some I'm like some I feel like whoever is doing the marketing is like not paid enough. And then some of them I'm like, did they try to use AI instead?
Yeah, there was one. I was looking, like I said, through the spooky stuff, and there was stuff in there that you would expect, like Another and other spooky animes. And then the skull faced bookseller was in there, and I was like, that's not scary at all. Like, the skull is just a representation of his character. It's not actually like a spooky skull haunting a bookstore.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they've switched. Whoever they were paying, they fired, and now it's just giving AI vibes.
Yeah. They're just like, this is good enough.
Such is life.
Yeah. All right, well, my next one
Yeah.
is Toilet Bound Hanako-kun.
Woo!
It's one of my favorites.
I love Toilet Bound. Yes.
So, for those who don't know, it is a comedy and supernatural, and it follows our main character, Nene Yoshiro. And she goes to this school that has these supposed seven wonders, and one of them is Hanako-kun, which is an actual myth in Japan where there's a girl who haunts the bathroom. And so she's like, well, the one at my school apparently grants wishes. So she goes to the bathroom where Hanako-san is supposed to exist. And come to find out, Hanako-san is not a girl at all, is this punky little jerk of a teenage boy. And she decides, she like tells him her wish, which is to end up dating one of her upperclassmen. And he's like, well, I'll try. I'll do my best. And so they initially it starts out with them trying to get her with the upperclassmen. It does not go well, and she ends up finding these little fish scales. And Hanako's like, oh, those are mermaid scales, but they have like, what am I trying to say? There's like a curse attached to them. And it works as a love spell. Like if you eat one and the person you're in love with eats the other one, you guys will be bonded, but you have to be careful because there's a curse attached. And so Nene is like, well, I'm not fucking eat it. So she eats it and goes to give it to her crush and overhears him talking about how he has feelings for another girl. And she's like, well, I don't want to be that guy. Like, I don't want to be a jerk and make him fall in love with me when he's not.
Yeah.
But then she ends up getting the brunt of the curse, which turns her into a fish, and a mermaid comes to try to kidnap her. And Hanako's like, well, I can help you, but I have to eat the other scale. So he kills the mermaid, he gets rid of the mermaid, and then he eats the scale. So now he has like more of a physical form than he did before. And Nene doesn't turn into a fish, but when she gets wet, she has like fish scales on herself. And as the story goes on, I got so obsessed with this. When I finished the show, I instantly picked up the manga and started plowing through the manga. I am currently behind. I need to get caught back up. But I started like demolishing this. And in later chapters, like later arcs, it gets so dark and so messed up. And then you have like this really cutesy art where there's like these sweet, like big-eyed drawn characters. And Nene, everyone makes fun of her and calls her like radish legs because she's like, she's got like thicker legs.
They're daikons.
Yeah, the daikon girl. And they just like shit on her. So it's still got like comedy and stuff. It does have very funny moments. Like I actually have, there's these little spirits in the show and the manga that they look like bunnies. And God, was it Crunchyroll? I can't remember. I think it was Crunchyroll on Twitter was doing a giveaway. And they were like, hey, if you could have one wish granted by Hanako-kun, what would it be? And we're going to pick like 3 people and we're going to send them a rabbit. So I got one of them.
That's so cool.
I know, I should have brought him down. I wasn't
what
thinking.
Are you doing?
He lives on my bed. He's my pride and joy. I want him because I was like, not to be
so cute.
I know, I was like, not to be morbid or anything, but I'd like to spend one more day with my grandmother because she had passed away like a couple years before that, and they gave me a bunny rabbit. One of the little bunny spirits, so I have him.
Oh my gosh. I'm
It's so cute.
jealous.
I know, I didn't think I was going to win, and then they messaged me, like, a week later, and I was like,
And we're like,
"Get out!"
sorry. And like, sorry, your grandma died. Here's a consolation rabbit.
Basically, and I was like, no thanks. But it is on Crunchyroll. I checked, and it says it's ongoing, but there's only 12 episodes out right now, so that gave me hope that more is going to come out.
Yeah.
There's also After School Hanako-kun, which is just like funny stories set in that universe with the same characters. And there's also 22 volumes of the manga. Excuse me, I'm getting hiccups. And the story is still currently going. I know, Grody. Let me fix my chair real quick. I'm floating away with my little cushion.
Don't I?
But 10 out of 10, recommend Hanako-kun to a friend.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I should add Toilet Bound to my list of, like, go-to recs for Halloween, because it's a must. It's a classic.
It's so good.
It's so good.
And like I said, in the later, like, the show doesn't even get into the most fucked up arcs. There's, like, one arc that everyone talks about, and I was like, this isn't so bad. What are you guys talking about? And I got through it, and I was like, oh, I understand. That emotionally damaged me.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I love Toilet Bound. It was like, actually, I think we saw a lot of Toilet Bound stuff while we were in Japan, and I should have gotten on that more.
On your most recent trip? Mm-hmm. Oh, it was probably because I think what did I literally just say? Oh, the after school Hanako-kun had just come out recently.
Yeah, I need to catch up on that. Okay. Dope. Okay, so for my next one, I'm going to talk about... I'm, like, actually creating headings as we go. Like, I'm putting headings on our... Oh, yay! Cool. Did they look good?
Yeah, I could see it. I almost said something because our, like, names and everything disappeared, and then it came back up. I was like, oh, never mind. We go.
Yay! So... yeah, they'll come back eventually. So, yeah, so my next anime, which is also a manga, is Shadow's House.
Ooh, that one's good. I saw, like, 2 episodes of that. I need to keep watching it. I liked what I saw, though.
That's pretty much where I'm at, is I started watching it, and I loved it, and then I forgot that I was watching it, but I liked it, and I need to go back and watch the rest of it, and I'm very sad that Doki Bun Bun isn't on, because this is another one that she recommended to me, and she's like, I think you'd like this, and I was like, you're right. It's, okay, so Shadow's House is like, I'm going to read the synopsis from Wikipedia, because I don't know how to not spoil anything. I don't know, I'll decide how much to spoil, right? So,
Yeah.
It's reals. In a grandiose and dark mansion live the denizens of the Shadow House, attended by their living doll partners. So, like, I feel like I could stop there. And the fact that a bunch of kids live in a house and they all have these living dolls, that should be creepy enough for you.
Yeah, full stop.
Full stop. However, these living doll partners, and they're with them, like, most of the time, are endlessly cleaning soot that their masters emit. Now you have to take a step back and go, wait a minute. The people that I thought these had living doll partners are actually soot creatures, and not like the cute little Ghibli ones, but it's basically like they look like a shadow. Like, it's the silhouette, is the right word, where it's solid black. And that is, like, are the denizens living in the Shadow House, are these, I want to say creature people?
Soot people?
Soot
critters?
People. So these living dolls exist to be the face of these soot creatures. Mm-hmm. But they're constantly emitting soot. And if they get upset, a bunch of soot comes out of their head, and then their little living dolls have to go around and clean soot, and they're cleaning soot all day, and there's a ton. I can't even remember how many kids there are in this house, because most of the characters that we see are kids. There's, I don't know. Someone here is comparing it to Promise Neverland for the atmosphere of claustrophobia and menace.
I could see that based off what I remember. Yeah.
Yo, someone said the first 2 seasons of Shadow's House may have been mostly stage setting. Honestly, they still felt action-packed. But I hear it does get darker, and actually Doki Doki Bun Bun did mention that as well, that it does, like, it gets, like, I thought it was good, it gets better.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so it gets darker, it gets better. So back to, okay, so there's 13 episode anime, 12 episode second season that aired in 2022. Oh, here's the list of Shadow Sauce characters. There's a bunch. Yeah, so, like, okay, it was published by Yen Press. There's a manga, yada, yada. Okay, so, yeah, Shadow Sauce, it's creepy. It's cute. It apparently gets creepier, which I love. But yeah, these, like, shadow creatures have these people that we assume they're people. I don't know. They could be made. They're living dolls, right?
Yeah.
So, no spoilers here. But they are the personification of, like, the human embodiment of these shadows. So these shadows exist. They have no facial expression. So these dolls exist to be their facial expressions and all this other stuff. And they clean soot. But then there's these other monsters that come in and are, like, killing the dolls. So yeah, it's again, yeah, that one review that said it was like Promise Neverland, where you're like, this is creepy, but something else is going on. Mm-hmm. That's the vibe. It's good stuff. Oh, I just saw the Mirako-chan if you liked Shadow's House, you would like Mirako-chan.
It's funny because Mirako is, like, comedy. Like I said, it is creepy and everything, but like when I think of that, I remember, like, chuckling.
Okay, another one on this list that's like, if you liked Shadow's House, you would like,
excuse me,
is Wonder Egg Priority. I hadn't considered Wonder Egg Priority as, like, a Halloween recommendation, but it is, like, dark psychologically.
It is. It's another one of those ones where it's like, don't watch the last episode, though.
Yeah.
And it's only, like, 12 episodes.
Right. Yeah.
I just remember going into a fit of rage when that ended, because I was like, what do you mean that's the ending to this?
Yeah. So, anything to add? I mean, you said you watched a couple episodes of Shadow's House. I'm not the expert.
Yeah, I'm not either. I don't remember it that well. Like you said, I started watching it, and then I fell off, not because it was bad or anything, just because I was, like, prioritizing other stuff, and it's one of those ones I've always been meaning to go back to. Mm-hmm. I just haven't.
Yep. Yeah. So I liked it. I gotta circle back myself, so. Go watch Shadow's House.
Whoop whoop. All right,
what's your next one?
My last one, I have to put up a disclaimer because I was just telling you, I went to see where you could go watch this or read this. It is not streaming anywhere. The DVDs are expensive and hard to come by. Like, I have an original, so it was a Funimation one, and they used to do these save packs where you could get, like, it was, like, discounted, and it was, like, thinner plastic and things like they did everything they could to make it like, the video quality is fine, but they did everything they could to reduce the price. Mm-hmm. So I had that, and it's not on streaming. The manga you can find on eBay, or you can sail the 7 seas, and you can find it that way. So I'm putting up that disclaimer. I found it on Manga Dex. I was able to find the manga on Manga Dex, so you can read it semi-illegally that way. But if you want to watch the actual show, we are putting on our pirate patches.
All right, T, drop the name, because I'm going to put it down so if people join, they know what you're talking about.
It is called Shiki. Shiki.
Oh, and this looks so creepy. What?
It's so good. So it takes place in 1994. It is summer. It's a mystery, psychological thriller, and vampire horror. There's this small village in, like, the mountains, countryside kind of thing, and all of a sudden these mysterious deaths are happening, and nobody's really sure what's going on. But in the middle of the night, this family moves into this old abandoned mansion in the town. And around that time is when all these weird deaths start happening. So there's this.
So cute.
It's really cute.
Creepy cute.
It's creepy cute. It's creepy cute.
No, this looks so good.
Yeah, like one of the main characters who is one of the vampires, she has like that classic Lolita look to her.
Yes.
She's got like the high collar with like the lacy bow and all that stuff, and she has like black eyes.
And the little frillies. Oh my gosh. I'm obsessed with her.
So there's this one girl named Megumi, and she like is interested in this house and wants to find out what's going on. So she goes up there, and then a while later she's found in the forest and is like on death's door. And the doctor of the town, there's like the lead of the hospital, he's been trying to investigate these deaths, and he doesn't initially peg it as one of these deaths. So he's like, oh, she's got like, what did they say? I think it was anemia. From the bug bites. Yeah, it was anemia. They thought she had like bug bites and was getting anemia from that. He's like, she'll be fine in a couple days. No, she's not. She dies. Like 3 days later, dies. And one of her friends, Natsuno, he was like, okay, this is sus, and I'm going to start looking into this. And like weird stuff starts happening around him, and it just keeps getting worse. Like more and more people in this town just keep dying off. And nobody knows what's going on. And obviously, based off my description of it, you come to find out that the family who came back is a family of vampires. Right. And they're like just, snacking here and there. And they may not have done this before. It is so good, and it is so tragic that you can't find it anywhere.
No.
I know, I was like, oh, I have to talk about Shiki. Nobody talks about Shiki anymore. And then when I was
looking why, because no one can find it.
Nobody can find it. I was looking at the DVD earlier, and I was like, I got you there. But when you look at Crunchyroll, it comes up in their catalog, but there's no episodes. It was a Funimation that got lost in the transfer.
No.
So if you would like to watch this, I recommend it. You just gotta, you gotta figure out how to be a pirate.
No, this is...
It sucks.
So, in the more like this section for Shiki, if you like this, then you would like Shiki. They have When They Cry.
Oh, yeah.
Which I have never seen.
I've never seen it, but my brother-in-law was obsessed with it. I'm iffy with body horror. There's certain... Body horror is like one of the only things that can like unnerve me.
Oh, is
and there's some like, if I remember correctly, like fingernails involved or something, and I was like, I gotta mentally prepare for this before I watch it.
Oh. Okay, so if you like these, then you would like Shiki is Corpse Party, Tortured Souls.
I've heard of that.
Looks fucking dark. Another one that they have on this list is Another Slaps, one of my other favorites. I also haven't seen that.
Oh, really? Oh, you would love the first episode. A lot happens.
Okay, so Elfin Lied is on here.
Oh, yeah, that one. I have not seen all of that. I had a friend who was, like, super obsessed with it, and it kind of turned me off kind of thing, but I've always wanted to watch it.
I hate that when someone's, like, so into it, you're like, ew.
Yeah, that one's good, though. That's a classic.
Diaries on here. Mm-hmm. Hellgirl, I've seen that one a lot.
Hellgirl slaps. I almost talked about Hellgirl, too.
Okay. And then,
I got a lot in my back pocket.
Clearly, Blood Sea. I don't know what that is, but the
Blood franchise is so good.
Okay, the main character is working for me. Like, she's also got, like, the frilly dress in this, like, promo shot. She's got a huge-ass sword, long hair. She's giving Maki Zenin vibes from Jujutsu Kaisen.
I'm more familiar with Blood Plus, but all of the Blood series is good.
Okay. Dang. T, you better throw in some more videos into this spooky, like...
I got you.
See, I'm mad, T. Damn.
I didn't know you hadn't seen Another, or I would have, I feel like everybody always talks about Another, so I didn't want to mention it.
Okay. All right, well...
Another is one of my other favorite spooky ones.
Okay, so that was Shiki.
Shiki.
I'm mad because now I want to cosplay Shiki. I don't know anything else about Shiki, but I want to cosplay as the little Lolita with the black eyes. I want that.
Yeah.
Okay. Damn. Okay, so my last one, I feel like I saved the best for last here. Did I go first?
I went first.
So is this our last one?
Yeah, this is our last of the last, our best of the best. Hit us with it.
Ghost stories.
I haven't seen this one, but I've seen so many clips of it. I feel like I've seen it. It's one of those ones where I'm like, I'll get to it eventually. It's one of, where you kind of want to drink while you're watching it for the
Okay, I didn't want to say that,
experience.
so I literally I cut out my video that I had posted on Ghost Stories because it was like I had recorded like a minute and a half of it, and I was like, no, I can't do that. But part of it was I had said like, watch this with your friends, drink while you're watching this. There is a drinking game, and I highly recommend it for those that are of legal drinking age only.
Yes.
And drink safely and all that stuff. But
Participate in legal substances in your state or province or country.
Follow your
at the
local
appropriate
municipalities. So yeah, what do you know about Ghost Stories, T?
So I know that originally the dub was completely different, or not the dub, I'm sorry, the actual story is completely different than what is presented.
Yeah.
What they did, from what I recall, was they were like, hey, we got this license to this show. Who's in studio that we could just steal for like 20 minutes? Who wants to be in on this project? And they would just go into different recording studios and be like, hey, you're recording Full Metal Alchemist. You got a break for 20 minutes. You want to be in on this? And that's how they got voice actors for this project.
Which is wild because I mentioned in my TikTok, but like the voice acting cast for this was absolutely stacked.
It's immaculate.
Like multiple Iran High School Host Club voice actors, Full Metal, like you mentioned. There's so many voice actors were on this list. Full Metal Panic.
Full Metal Panic is good. My husband loves that one.
Voice actor from that was in it. This one didn't even list hers because she just has like, literally so many. Another Full Metal Panic voice actor is in it.
I've started to watch more anime in English again, just so I can multitask at the same time. Like, oh, I want to fold clothes and watch this, and I don't want to miss anything. So I'm starting to be like, oh, I kind of recognize that voice, but it's not like one from the past.
Yep. Yeah. Clannad, a couple of those
oh wow,
were in there. God, there's like literally so many. I'm like reading through the list right now. Danmachi, Monster Musume, Food Wars. So basically the voice acting cast was stacked, like you said. So everything you said I believe to be factual. So Ghost Stories was a children's anime in Japan. And it was supposed to teach them about the traditional yokai and monsters and ghosts from Japanese like folklore. And so when you watch it, all of the monsters that you see are true to the original anime. And all of the ways that you get rid of the monsters or curse them or, whatever, those are all true as well. That was like the caveat. So when it was in Japan, it flopped. It didn't do well. And so they I feel like they just threw it over the wall. I don't know how they like obtained the rights. Like it was a matter of like, do what you want with it because it, we already lost money on it, or if it was we'll give you a penny for it and you can have it, but you just have to follow these rules. I'm not sure.
I feel like back then it was like we were trying to grab up so much stuff in America at the time because it was becoming so popular that we were like, just give us whatever you got kind of thing. And it could have been like you said, like, oh, we won't charge you that much for it. It wasn't that good. And then they were just like, all right, we'll use what we got.
So, I don't know what years you were going to conventions, but they had announced the DVD release of Ghost Stories in 2005.
I was there. My first Otakon was Otakon 2005.
That was the Otakon that they announced the North American DVD release of Ghost Stories.
14-year-old Tia was left alone in the Bonner Harbor.
Yeah, so that was huge. Also, the ending theme for this is called Sexy Sexy. So it's like
What?
yeah, it's like it is unhinged from start to finish, right? Like you said, T, with Ghost Stories, the VAs came in and I talked to one of the VAs. They were at a random convention that I honestly did not expect that they would be at. I was at an 18 plus anime convention, and the VA for the smallest child in this was there, and she voiced a like a male like child, but there was a lot of what they did right because they got the like higher inflection voices for those kids. And first of all, he speaks maybe a few words, and I mentioned this in my TikTok, right, where it's like it's sexist and it's
foul.
It's foul. It's yeah. So part of the ableist piece is like this kid's. They make fun of him for being autistic, and it's like extreme ends of everything. One of the kid characters is Jewish, and so they make fun of him for that. Another character is like hyper Christian. They really laid into that one, like really did. Like I think if you saw some of the memes that I posted like in the video, those aren't memes. Those are the real words in the dub.
I feel like this is if they gave the cast and crew of South Park an anime, and they were like, just go. Do what you want.
This is, I feel like, worse than that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I can't even repeat some of the things that I'm like, oh, there's this one part that's really bad, but I'm like, no, it's too bad. I don't want to say it. You can't make me.
I can't even tell you.
I can't even tell you. No, it's too bad.
Some raunchy, and not just like raunchy in a sexual way, like just I don't even have a better word for it, you know, like it's just bad. It's raunchy.
But and I say this in the TikTok, I say it's satirical because it makes fun of itself, right? Like there are scenes where the main female protagonist, they're all in like elementary or middle school or something. She's running and her skirt flies up, and like they point it out, and they point out like that happened, and like then the voice actress will be like, if only my skirt could stay down for 5 seconds, I would be able to, you know, like fight this monster or something.
Yeah.
And so like they call it out, or the other main character guy will be standing like this, and he'll be like, yeah, I'm just standing in my typical anime arms up pose, and they break the fourth wall, and so it's very clear that the whole thing is satirical. It makes fun of itself. It makes fun of stereotypes. I want to say it wouldn't fly in this day and age, but again, if you go into it recognizing that it is satirical and that like none of it is serious, and maybe it would fly. Probably there's like a joke about bestiality in it. There's like another joke about it's bad. Like you said, it's foul.
It makes me think of like Cards Against Humanity, in a way, like the game. Some of that stuff does not fly anymore today. It is not acceptable anymore today.
I feel like Cards Against Humanity wants to be foul, but is scared to, where this just is.
Yeah.
I mean, it is horror, it is supernatural, like in the original, and then the English version is like horror comedy. What's this other category that they called it?
I'd say it's satire as well.
Yeah, definitely satirical. There's also a cat who doesn't put up with any of the kids' shit, really. Like, he more or less acts like a drunk uncle, but he's a cat. The voice actress for one of the characters, and she's telling us, like, yeah, there was a main script. Like, when they came in and they were invited to do this, there was a main script that had already been written for them after, like, this had been acquired. However, like, they were told their roles, and they were told to basically go ham on the roles. And if they had, like, proposals for, like, words, or there was, like, a vibe that they were supposed to follow.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like, there was a script, but they were allowed a lot of ad-libbing based on, like, how they developed their character. Yeah, there was some slight improvising. And it's so funny because they do still have to match the flaps. Like, it's this, like, satire joke, you know, anime, but they still, like, put in the work to do a good job on it. Like, all of the mouth flaps line up. And so if there's, like, 3 mouth flaps, like, but they need to get, like, a full sentence out, like, they do it. And they speak fast, but it's like a joke. They did such a good job.
I think I remember one where it was like one of the children was just like, "Shut up, bitch."
Yeah.
But it matches the mouth.
Yeah. So I just am continually impressed by English voice actors and like the translation casts that are able to come up with things that match the mouth flaps so well.
Have you seen the anime Shin-chan?
I don't think so.
It's a similar concept. Shin-chan was a children's show in Japan, and then when they brought it over here, they made it with adult humor. So it's dubbed over inappropriately, but in Japan, it is for kids.
Huh. Yeah. It's the first and only time I've watched this all the way through was in a drinking style environment in the safety of my own home with friends.
Yeah.
Because you can't just like sit and watch this. Like, you can't just like raw dog this one.
No.
It's peak. I mean, gosh, it's also like, to your point, you made a comment about Hellsing in your TikTok about how even with the trigger warnings, it still holds up. This could be triggering to people if they don't realize it's satirical, but like a lot of the jokes still, like, there's like positive jokes about like how they would trust a drag queen over a priest, and how, you know, they make a lot of, one thing I will say about this is they do make a lot of references to pop culture for the time that it was recorded.
Yes.
So some of those things you might miss. That's the only kind of additional caveat I'll add about it, right? Is that if you don't know the 90s, like, pop culture references, you might miss some of them. Because they make a joke about, like, back then the Verizon slogan was like, "We're always with you," or something. Mm-hmm. And so there's like a Verizon phone reference in it, which I don't know how they got away with that. Can you imagine, like, Verizon finding out nowadays that it was, like, referenced in a very inappropriate anime?
Oh my gosh, no, they would lose it.
Right, yeah. So, there was like another one. Yeah, no, so the jokes, they say the word bootylicious. I feel like that was a popular word back then.
Yeah.
So, ghost stories. I want to say more about it, but you really just have to see it yourself, because I feel like I keep being like, "Oh yeah, you gotta watch this," and then they're like, "Oh, but like it's not good politically, like, oh, warning," but then I'm like, "Oh, it's so funny," and then I'm like, "Oh, but don't take it seriously."
It's one of those ones where you have to do the research yourself and find out if it's a good fit for you. Mm-hmm. If you can't handle the jokes and the humor and things in it, then don't watch it. But if you think that you can, give it a try.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For sure. So
it's like there's a specific anime that I know that I will never watch because I just cannot handle what's in it, and I won't do it.
Yeah, I have a few like that as well, where I'm like, it's a little too much for me. Like, a lot of stuff I can look past.
I've never and will never watch Goblin Slayer.
I don't know that one.
That one is not for me. I am not the target audience for that one. I think it's Goblin Slayer. What am I... See, I've blocked it out. Just as a safety precaution.
The tagline for it is, "I'm not saving the world, I just kill goblins." Is that it?
I'm pretty sure. Let me look.
Really?
My husband knows the name of it, so I know to stay away from it. I'll be like, "Hey, is this it?"
The 15-year-old priestess joins a band of young, enthusiastic rookies to investigate a tribe of goblins responsible for the disappearance of the village.
Maybe. Oh, no, that is it. I'm pretty sure. There is a R word that's very violent in there that if I'm remembering correctly. Oh. I can't watch that. I was like, nope, I have limits, and that's one of them.
Okay, well, I'll stay away from that one too. But, okay, any other... I feel like a lot of the ones I gave, like, I either haven't seen in a while or older, or I haven't finished them myself.
Yeah. There's a couple that I had. There's one that I really, really, really wanted to talk about, and I didn't because it was the same thing like Shiki, but I already knew this one you couldn't find anywhere. If anyone out there has seen Serial Experiments Lain, Chef's
Yes.
Kiss,
Really?
you have to sail the 7 seas to find that one. It is nowhere.
It must have been one that got lost because I legally watched that one within the last two years ago? Less?
I wanted to, like, I've seen the first
Yeah.
3 episodes of it, and I was like, man, I've never finished that. I really want to finish, or 3 or 4, I can't remember. I was like, I really want to finish that.
That one's so bad.
I love Lane!
No. You cannot convince me. I watched it and I was like, man, I am never getting those hours of my life back.
That one I enjoyed. I did enjoy that.
T.
But I couldn't find it anywhere. It just doesn't...
It says that it's on Crunchyroll. Is it
Go down. Go down. There's no episodes.
Huh. No, like this is one that I watched on Crunchyroll 2 years ago. And yeah, it was on Crunchyroll at the time. I can't believe this is on your list, T. This is okay, so this one
It might be a nostalgia factor. That's why I wanted to watch
be.
it. I haven't seen it in years. And I was like, oh, I remember liking that.
I felt like I was getting, like, the spookiest part about it is I felt like it was siphoning my brain power away from it as I was watching it. I don't know, is that a hot take? Because you're right, like, it has a cult following. It's popular. I felt like, I was like, man, I'm never gonna get my life back. Those hours I spent watching this, I'm never gonna get it back. And if you look it up, yeah, it looks creepy. Like Serial Experiments Lain. It's got like, it's technically a psychological, no, it's sci-fi. It's like sci-fi psychological horror sort of thing. Yeah. First, it aired in 1999. You could have told me it aired in 92 and I would have believed you with how like 90s style and the low quality of animation that this was. But the best animation studio couldn't have saved this. Honestly, like, I'm trying to think of another animation. Mappa could redo this and I would be like, nope, sorry, not for me. Everyone else enjoy. I'm trying to figure out, like, is it a manga too, or is it like its own thing?
Remember. Let me see. Interesting. There is a manga, but it is called Nightmare of Fabrication. Serial Experiments Lain.
Serial Experiments Lain. Cyberpunk, psychological, thriller, sci-fi, memory, sense of self-identity. Those are the genres listed on the fandom site. What? This is like, okay, so first right now Tokyo TV, 13 episodes. The episode names are Weird, Girls, Psych, Religion, Distortion, Kids, Society, Rumors, Protocol.
I just remember there's like a scene that always sticks out in my head.
Okay.
She goes to like a club with her friends.
Yeah.
And she's like 14, so I was like, well, how are you going to a club? Because I didn't know any better back then.
Mm-hmm.
But she goes to this club with her friends, and like, there's a bloodbath. Like, all of a sudden, people just start exploding and dying all over the place. And that just sticks out vividly in my memory, and I was like, I would like to go watch that again. But guess what? It's not on Crunchyroll.
So I'm reading through the fandom site and it says it was praised by the Japanese Media Arts Festival, of course it was, for its, quote, willingness to question the meaning of contemporary life and the, quote, extraordinarily philosophical and deep questions.
See, I liked it because I wanted to be like that deep kid.
Yeah. You're like, oh, I love Serial Experiments Lain. It's so good.
I still can't. I'm sorry. I'm still like focused on the fact that you've never seen another. Like, that just seems like something you would have watched already.
No. See, okay, well, this is the same thing because, like, I feel like you would have already like read Tomy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I got it from my local library. Go local library.
Woo, local library, and they were good editions. Like, they were the hardcover, like deluxe editions.
Yeah, I got Tomy and I got the Cat Diaries from my local library, and my friend got me Uzumaki for my birthday. Like, actually bought it for me, and that's the hardbound of that too.
I am so excited for you to actually read Uzumaki because, yeah, it's like a little extra creep factor. There might be a part that you skip about body stuff when the mom's in the hospital, but other than that, you're gonna love it.
It depends. There's
Okay.
I am very sensitive to like stuff having to people's Achilles tendons. That
Tendons are
freaks me
gross.
out.
Tendons are gross. But you watched the fingertip cutting, and
Yeah, yeah.
that was fine.
Yeah, I was like, ugh, but I was
Yeah,
able to watch
but
it.
it's worth it. Or it's worth it.
It was like, what was that one? I think it was Cabin in the Woods that had a scene. It was like somebody was shaving their legs, and like as they're shaving, their skin is like being peeled off, and they don't realize it. But there's a cut of the movie where it's called like the scaredy cat version, and like hands come up on the screen, like it's covering your eyes during that scene.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's funny. I would watch that. Okay, so I'm gonna keep reading these reviews of this because they all sound so fucking pretentious. So, Serial Experiments Lain, it was praised. Okay, I read that it was praised by the Japanese media one. In 2005, New Type USA stated the main attraction to the series is its keen view on, quote, the interlocking problems of identity and technology. This is hot garbage.
Good old New Type USA backing me up.
The authors saluted the crisp and clean character design and the perfect soundtrack.
I remember liking it. I swear. I remember I loved this show. I thought it was crazy and I wanted more of it and I just never got around to it. So now I'm going to find a way.
So, New Type, they really laid it on thick. I don't know who they paid to write this, but they're like, Serial Experiments Lain might not yet be considered a true classic, but it is a fascinating evolutionary leap that helped change the future of anime. This was written in 2005 about Serial Experiments Lain from 1998.
Oh my gosh. I do know, like, there's, like you said, there's a cult following, and I think there's only one official figure from the anime, but there have been, like, high-quality fan-made, like, companies that have made them, and one recently came out that looked really interesting, and that's what reminded me, like, oh, I've never finished this, I should. And it was a beautiful figure. It was, like, laying in her room, and behind her there's all her TVs on her desk, and there's like wires all over the place, and the TVs light up.
Yeah. I mean, like, Serial Experiment, it was creepy, but it, like, I don't know how far you got into it, and you probably don't remember either, but it was like, at a certain point, Y2K, like, fear-mongering. Like, that's what it felt like by the end.
I can see that.
But it was like, push the envelope of anime diversity in the 90s alongside Neon Genesis and Cowboy Bebop. I would not put this with those.
Yeah, I don't think I would either.
It says the Lane was subject to commentary in the literary and academic worlds. The Asian Horror Encyclopedia calls it an outstanding psycho-horror anime about the psychic and spiritual influence of the internet. Again, like, it's just this Y2K fear-mongering thing. Like,
yeah, I can see that. But I think at the time that was topical. That
no, yeah, at the time, yeah, groundbreaking at the
but
time.
But looking
like, wow.
back on it, yeah.
This one doesn't stand in today's, I don't know. Again, to the point, like, it has a cult following, and the people who love it, but
they're very devout.
And I feel like it's a very small group. It's like if someone's like, give me a weird anime to watch, I'm like, fine, watch this. I don't, this is not something you recommend to just any old anime fan.
This is not something I'm whipping out of my back pocket,
Like, oh, you're into anime? You would love Serial Experiments Lain.
Yeah, no.
Said literally no one ever.
Have you seen? So I'm going back and looking at my list
Yeah.
of the other ones that I didn't bring up. Have you seen School Live?
No, I've heard of School Live though.
Oh my gosh, so good, Chef's Kiss. Okay, have you seen Erased?
No.
Okay, have you seen Inspector?
No.
Oh my gosh. Okay, have you seen Interviews with Monster Girls? That one's like less horror. That one's not horror.
No,
at
that
all.
one I have like bookmarked though. That one I do know about. I've never.
Have you seen Paranoia Agent?
No.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you're right. I do got to do some videos. Let me just.
What if you did one and you're like, do you have the manga for these, or these are all like animes that you watch?
These are all animes that I've seen.
You gotta like speed run or something and be like, if you like this, then you would like that, and then like you kind of just like throw an overlay over, or like because you gotta, there's not enough days left in October to go through all of these. This is because I just looked all of them up.
That's the last two episodes. It's just you and I spewing out everything that we couldn't get to. Here's more.
You want more?
I'll give you more.
So the Erased is suspense, detective, mystery, human drama. I feel like, because there are other good ones that are like more suspense and like
that wasn't really horror. That one was more like, I would put that in a thriller category.
Yeah.
If anything.
Yeah. Because you could even be like, oh, the case study of Vanitas, and you can talk about like some of like those. I don't know. There's a ton out there that could technically be like a good watch during Halloween. In fact, it's
not quite spooky.
Not quite spooky. I almost didn't post Soul Eater just because like when I watched it, it was hilarious. But then my husband's like, "No, you gotta post about it." And I'm like, "You're right. That shit was creepy. It was dark. It's good shit." So yeah, T. Damn, holding out. First of all,
Unintentionally.
What the fuck? Yeah, we'll have to do something else to get the rest of our recs out. Because this, I only focused on anime. Most of the creepy horror stuff, or psychological stuff, I usually read about it. I don't watch a ton of that type of anime. I usually will watch like silly, goofy animes and then read dark horror psychological ones before bed. So that's probably why I haven't seen those.
I watch like Garbo horror movies to go to sleep.
I read like the psycho thrillers before bed. Like I'm in bed just like falling asleep, like while like rereading Tomi or like any other Junji Ito book. I'm like, oh, just cozy up with the book at night and reading my Junji Ito until I fall asleep. No problem.
I'm one of those psychos that puts on true crime, and I'm like, yes, where was the body?
Speaking of where was the body, were you on this is totally derailed, so sorry for viewers who aren't in the US, the rug?
Yes,
the TikTok rug, the rug?
Ruggate.
Ruggate. True crime. There's going to be a podcast that's going to talk about it. You can't convince me otherwise. You also can't convince me otherwise that there is not a body somewhere on that person's property.
My husband and I were talking about it. So background for people who don't know. This woman was renovating her property. It only had one previous owner family, and she just recently purchased it. She was digging in the ground and found this rug, thought it was suspicious, mentioned it on TikTok.
It was like a 6-foot long rug.
Yeah.
Like it was a big rug. And it was
like an area rug.
And it was rolled up and then
in the ground.
And then buried like 2 feet under the ground.
Yeah.
But like a solid 2 feet.
Yeah. So it drummed up enough on TikTok where the police were like, all right, we'll come out. Because I think she had called them and they weren't like paying attention to her. But it drummed up enough issues that people were like calling them, and the police eventually come out.
It went viral and everyone's like, girl, you got to call the police. Because you're missing the important part, which was that her house was getting haunted after she found the rug.
Oh, yeah.
Like things were moved in her house that like in her office that was like locked up at night, like the door was then wide open and things were moved around in her office, or like I don't know. So a bunch of spooky shit was happening in her house, and then everyone's like, girl, it's the rug. Yeah. Girl, you got to call the police. So she did. She's like, all right, fine. I went to the police. They came over. They were like, yep, that's a rug in the ground. And they left. And she's like, okay, can you please like send like cadaver dogs out? Like, can you do anything else? And they're like, pfft. And they like poo-pooed her away. And then some youth probably, I think, like sent the TikTok to their like detective dad who was in the area or something. And they were like, and then like the next day the dogs were out. And they
brought 2 separate cadaver dogs.
Yeah.
Both hit separately on this rug.
Yeah. Both of the dogs basically did their identification method for telling their handlers that there was a body and they were within a foot or two of the rug. Both of them did, and they
I
don't.
would,
They
I
don't
would
even
clarify that as not just like a body. They're trained to pick up on decomposition. So it could be there's a body in this rug. There was a body in this rug. There's some form of decomposing human material that they're hitting upon.
That is an excellent clarification. Yeah. So they had individually put the dogs out, right? Like one dog didn't watch the other dog sit down and go, oh, I have to sit down there, like, and we copied their homework.
Yeah.
They kept the dogs separate, and both dogs went to nearly the same spot, maybe 1 foot apart, and said, there's some decomp. I smell some decomp. And they're talking about these dogs train in like graveyards. Like these dogs are like big time trained. And then after that, they dug up the rug, and then they told the lady, there's nothing in this rug.
Yeah. So my husband and I were talking about it, and we came to the conclusion that there's probably something. They did take away the rug. The police did take away the rug. There was some level of like a body bag.
Yeah, they put
they
put stuff in evidence bags. Whatever they took from a place, they put in evidence bags.
So we think that there is something going on, and the cops were like, pulled her aside kind of thing, and we're like, hey, this could ruin an investigation if there's too many eyes on this. We need you to just say, like, there was nothing there. There's nothing happening. And that's what we think. Obviously, I don't know.
Yeah.
Also, the weird thing is the woman who now owns the property and found the rug, she has been in contact with the previous owners of the house. So
their daughter.
The daughter. So the previous owners of the house are like 95 years old.
Yeah.
And they don't live there anymore.
Right.
So she's been communicating with the parents via the daughter, like you said.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we don't know of anybody dying on the property. So it's like somebody's hiding something, or somebody was like murdered on this property and this family didn't even know. Or
that
it
was
could
my
have been
thought.
like before they even bought the property, you know, like it could have been like a dumping ground. It could have just been like in a, like what they thought was an abandoned place. Somebody's going to hide a body there. And then a couple years later, these people buy it, build a house on it. And it's like, oh crap.
I think it's the family, because if they're 95, they'd been there for, call it 70 years or so, because that's when people were buying houses back then. Like, and the rug was only 2 foot under the ground. I don't know.
It's suspicious.
It's all sussy. But to your point, yeah, that's a good point where it's like, you stop talking about it, say there's nothing there, say they didn't find anything, because now we have an open investigation. We finally have a lead on something that we thought was a closed case. Like, it's got to be something like that. The only problem is now, whoever, if it was a recent thing, like say like in the time that it took them to sell the house, someone went and disposed of something there. There's no way whoever buried the rug like hasn't caught on with how viral this thing went. I don't know.
Yeah.
Plus, it was like, the part that's extra suspicious to me is that it was near their back porch. So it's like, how does someone, if it was put in before the house was built, it would have been found because it was so close to the porch.
Yeah.
So it had to have been there after the home was already there, meaning it had to happen while the first owners were there or before, like in between selling of the home. So, extra sussy. I don't know how we got on this. Oh, you watch True Crime before bed. So yeah, one day you'll be laying in bed and you'll watch the True Crime series about the rug TikTok lady. T, we went over on time as always, but it's always such a good conversation. I love talking about the spooky stuff and everything else. So the next time we get together, we will be talking about, I think, the rest of the Uzumaki series. And so we'll be talking about, again, our first impressions versus the rest of our impressions. And hopefully you will have read it by then, too, and you can compare. So,
yeah.
This has been Girls, Gays, Animes. Remember to find us on all our different social medias and like and subscribe and do all that stuff because we like doing this, but maybe one day not for free. Also, public library stuff. Do it. Go to your public library.
You can get real far with your library card.
Girls, Gays, Animes. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Stay spooky.